I'm Dr. John, the Entreprofessor. Dr. John Wilson. I teach at the Close School of Entrepreneurship. I have a PhD in organizational leadership with a focus in entrepreneurship. So entrepreneurial leadership is really the common thread between the things that I've done both in my career in industry as well as in the academy. I worked in industry for over 20 years. I was in the technology industry. I worked for a software company. At one point, I moved in my career to teaching full-time, became part of the faculty at a large university, and started teaching students, both graduate students as well as undergraduate students. Yeah, so teaching's maybe a little different than I expected it to be. All right, let's dive in. Let's start with raise your hand if you've ever taken a class from me before. I know you don't, but all right, so like about a third of you. Raise your hand if this is the first entrepreneurship class you've ever taken. All right, wow, okay, awesome. So this is gonna be fun. So I developed the Starters Toolkit early on when I first started teaching because I really wanted students to be able to see the entire entrepreneurial process at once. What I was finding when I talked to students, they would take a number of different entrepreneurship courses and they would understand each of the individual topics, but even students that have been in the program for a year or a couple of years were not seeing the forest through the trees and not seeing the big picture. So what I'm going to do is, hopefully, whether it's 40 hours or 90 hours, if you want to be an entrepreneur, I'm going to kind of give you a playbook. Each week I'm going to give you a new tool for the toolbox. That's what I call the Starters Toolkit. So what I want to do in this class is I want to give you the fundamental tools to know that you can. So a lot of times when someone's starting a new business, they may go and join what's called an incubator, and this is just a workspace and a lot of times a mentoring program to help someone to start a new business from scratch that maybe hasn't done it before and they're not even sure what all they should be thinking about. And what I really wanted the outcome to be is at the end of the course, students be able to say, I launched a startup. I actually started something while I was in school. If you have questions along the way, shoot me an email. See that? Nice. Awesome. Oh, glad to hear. Well, harder. The idea was that each week they would do a weekly build. So they would build something that advances the business so that if they came in with a business idea, at the end of 10 weeks, they would have 10 artifacts, prototypes, different mechanisms to move the business forward. And so in a lot of ways, they have a real business at the end of the 10 weeks. They can decide later whether they want to continue or pursue that business, but they've had an opportunity to go from idea to full working prototype or a pitch deck that they could go to investors and say, I've really vetted this idea and now I just need some capital to get it off the ground. And Dan, likewise, glad you're here. For everyone who's just joining us, let's get started. So welcome to Entrepreneurship and New Technology. If you have not been in an entrepreneurship class before, this will be a little bit of a unique thing for you just to begin with. And then even those of you that have studied entrepreneurship or are studying entrepreneurship, this class is going to be a very different kind of experience. We're going to really look at what are these emerging technologies, what do they represent, what opportunities they open up, and what methods are we going to use to commercialize those opportunities. A lot of discussion about AI in terms of like large language models and those kinds of things. Some of the agentic AI, where AI agents and blockchain technologies and some of the others that don't get as much press are really where a lot of the transformational technological change is happening and where there's a ton of opportunity for entrepreneurial activity. So that's really what this class is about. One of the most useful things in my mind that we did for students in entrepreneurship and new technology is we got them into the world of blockchain and cryptocurrency and digital technology hands-on. We were really blessed by having a co-instructor who was just enthusiastic about the topic, who was willing to essentially gift each of the students $10 worth of cryptocurrency. What we were really doing is using that small amount of crypto to be able to give them opportunities to try out some of the tools that are emerging because of digital technologies and digital assets. For those of you who have not taken my classes before, I've been here with the Close School of Entrepreneurship for almost 5 years now. I was in the technology industry. I worked for a company called Vertex, heavily involved with creating the technology entrepreneurship concentration at the Close School. And this is one of the kind of pure opportunities for doing entrepreneurship in emerging technology. So with that, I'm going to point the camera over here at David. Could you give us a little bit of a self-intro?
So I'm excited to be teaching with John. He and I both overlapped at Vertex. I was there for about 18 years, just left about 6 months ago to become a founder myself. I was always impressed with his curiosity, his enthusiasm, and quite frankly, his intelligence.
Well, hi everyone. I'm Robert Morier. I'm one of the professors here at the Close School of Entrepreneurship. I work very closely with Professor Wilson. I teach all of the investing side of venture capital. I'm the person who looks at that company and decides how much it's worth, and we try to help you evaluate how much that company is worth because we are going to need to raise money at some point. Inevitably, every business needs assets, it needs capital in order to grow.
One of the things we're going to do in this course is compare two different approaches. One is the analytical method and one is the lean startup method. Some advocate really strongly in favor of one of these versus the other. I think they're two sides of the same coin, or at least very, very heavily integrated with each other. In some ways, the analytical method is a lot of looking at all the conditions around the business opportunity, whereas the lean startup is going in and like actually, getting out there and seeing what happens. David, maybe if you could just walk us through when you think general terms of what is the lean startup methodology and how does it play out in reality?
I guess the catchphrase that I keep in my mind around the lean startup is, in God we trust, everyone else bring data. And so what it does is it takes the scientific method. So how do we uncover new knowledge in science? We run experiments, right? Edison famously ran, thousands of experiments, different filaments in his light bulb, and they didn't work. And finally he hit it on it, it worked, right? So we do the same thing. We run experiments, right? Don't trust anything. It's kind of Reagan, maybe you trust, but you got to verify. And how do you verify? Well, you run an experiment. It's a data-driven approach. You have to kill things. You kill off your ideas. In fact, the lean startup is focused on killing the bad ideas more than it is finding the good idea, because you assume most of your ideas are crap, right? Even if you think it's great, don't fall in love with your idea. It's not a pet. And so that's the methodology. Think about the scientific method, bring it into operating a startup.
Yeah. What do you hope students that take this class, what do you hope they take away from it?
I mean, I've been extremely impressed with the quality and caliber of the students. I think it opens their eyes, at least I hope it does. It opens their eyes to how these new technologies, and there'll be another one, a couple of years from now, who knows what it is, how these new technologies open up markets and expand the options for solving real problems out in the world.
You just don't know if a product's going to sell until you make the first sales call. And you're going to be doing these lean startup experiments. You're going to be jumping in with technology. You're going to be, creating a wallet. You're going to be, creating agents to do things. So at the end, what you'll do as a team is you're going to put a documentary together on like, what did we do? What did we experience? That's going to be your way to kind of showcase all the work that you're doing. As I mentioned earlier, if we come up with something amazing and it turns into a unicorn startup, then we can all be billionaires together. That would be fantastic.
That would be cool.
Wasn't just about reading or watching lectures. Most of the class was super hands-on. We were doing things, not just learning about them.
I originally signed up for this course to fulfill a requirement for my engineering management minor, and I honestly didn't expect it to be so hands-on and leave so much space for creativity.
I also wanted a class that was hands-on and different from traditional lectures, and this class totally has that. Unlike most courses, this one felt like a real-world startup incubator.
During his lectures, he's able to give real-world experience and how it relates to a company that we all are familiar with or a new startup.
Professor Wilson's super nice, super kind, and I really recommend it. There's so much to learn. And honestly, this is one of the best entrepreneurship classes I've taken.
When I first started teaching, I realized it's such an art form, and I also just realized students are pretty different now in what they're expecting or what they're looking for in their educational experience and just the way they're learning. I realized if I replicated kind of the old model of just put together a big long lecture and they take notes and then I give an exam, that probably wasn't going to resonate that much. One of the things I really wanted to get better at was telling stories. I started watching a lot of YouTube, and I thought, I'm already creating content for my classes. Why not put this out there for others to use and appreciate as well? I still feel like I have a long way to go as a storyteller or as a content creator. The real value of it has been in me just thinking about how would I present this information in a, maybe a 6 or 8 minute video, or as, a 60-second TikTok, as opposed to, a 45-minute lecture. The YouTube channel has really given me the ability to think about how do I convey complex ideas. How can I do that in a way that's interesting, engaging, and maybe a little bit different than the typical read from the podium kind of a lecture. Great is the enemy of done, because sometimes you go for that thing that's perfect, and then in the meantime you missed a lot of opportunities because you went from 94% to 100%, and that was really, really hard, whereas you might have done 2 or 3 other things in that space. It's a balancing act. Sometimes perfection's a good thing. Earning money just to survive or to kind of pay your bills or meet your responsibilities, what if that was off the table? What if you didn't have to worry about that? Then what would you do next?
When I'm thinking of being an entrepreneur or starting a business, I don't really care about the money to the point where it's if I don't need it, then that's not what my main goal is. My main goal is to expand my business. I think my main goal is to just do the best I can on what I love to do.
Yeah, that's a great mindset. So week 2 is about the entrepreneurial mindset. How do you think about the world through an entrepreneurial lens? And so a lot of times that's coming up with lots of ideas. It's looking for problems, big problems that are a real headache for people, talking to those people, understanding the problem, falling in love with that problem, and really getting committed to finding solutions for that problem that will bring people value. So entrepreneurial mindset sounds like just a warm fuzzy idea, but there actually is some science. So there's some personality traits that relate to the entrepreneurial mindset and their skills. And so there's been some research that basically compared entrepreneurs with corporate managers. I've been both. I'm a better entrepreneur than I was a corporate manager just because my mindset is always more innovative. I don't want to do it the way everybody else does. That's non-conformity. Risk acceptance, hey, there's going to be some risk with that. I'm okay with that, right? Action-oriented, why not, instead of us all talking about it, let's just go do something. Let's get started. Passion, I'm not doing this to grind it out to get a paycheck, let's make something happen that's unique, different, exciting, transformational. So those that are entrepreneurs tend to be much higher in all these things. Higher desire for independence, higher desire for limited structure, non-conformity, willing to accept risks, more action-oriented, passionate about what they focus on, need to achieve. Idea generation, so anyone who took Ready, Set, Fail, we did a lot of ideation. We also have an ideation course, right? We go deep on ideation because, coming up with ideas, it's some people are more naturally inclined to it for sure, but there's also a skill set to it. In week 2, we get into one of the foundational things that entrepreneurs need to do well, ideation. Ideation is just coming up with lots and lots of ideas. What's interesting is some people are really, really good at this. It comes really naturally. For others, it can be really challenging, but it's really helpful as a startup entrepreneur to come up with a lot of ideas because that helps you not get stuck on one idea. And so one of the things I do for those that are really, really good at coming up with ideas, I help them to get more disciplined about capturing those ideas. For those that aren't as good at ideas, I help them develop some techniques and skills to coming up with ideas even if they don't come real naturally. Someone who's man, I have trouble getting 3 or 4 ideas. Great, well let's use AI to help us come up with some ideas. Let's talk to some friends or roommates or relatives to get some ideas and some input. Let's talk about it with the mastermind group. What we do in week 2, the weekly build, is taking a structured way to really zooming in on one idea and making sure we really understand what it is. And really what we're trying to figure out is if I put this idea in front of the right people, will they respond to it? It helps if you have a newsletter or something to drive it if you're going to use it as a new MVP. But if you have 100 people that kind of fit your profile and you send them a message, say, hey, I've got this new resource, check it out, and 70 of them sign up, that's a good sign. Who really is this idea for? What is the problem that they're dealing with? And what would really change their world? What would transform their existence? And then backing into, how excited would they be about it? How impactful would it be? And also just how excited am I about the idea? This week we'll start doing doing the Lean Startup presentations. So if you're team 1, you're on deck, you'll be Thursday. Good news is today I'm going to give you about half the class to work with your team. So whether your team 1 and your presentations this week or at some time in the future, I'm giving you a part of this class period to just kind of sync up as a team, figure out what you're covering, and just kind of think through how you want to do it. All right, storyboards, whether you've seen them or not, you've been the beneficiary of them anytime you've ever watched a film. Kind of got credit for inventing these, whether they did or not. I don't know if you can see this as like a Star Wars storyboard, or here's a Harry Potter one. This one's from Soul. The Disney process, and they've touted this even before my lifetime, of, they might have a board like that with 50 pieces of paper, and it has their story. That's what we're gonna do with your entrepreneurial idea. Storyboarding was, if not developed by Disney, heavily used by Disney and made popular by Disney for when they create the story for a short film or even a movie. The storyboard that I like to use for entrepreneurship is a simple 3-part storyboard. What's the problem? What's your customer's kind of ordinary world look like while they're just dealing with the problem? They have some kind of solution for the problem, it's just not that great. And then you're gonna introduce your solution. All of a sudden they're introduced to your solution. This is the same framework that works for any story you're ever gonna tell. And then once finding that product market fit, starting to think about how do I scale this up in a way that I can really impact in a positive way more people, and start to build a business that can sustainably and consistently deliver that value.
So to put this in context, last week we covered the Lean Startup. And as you may recall in that discussion, there were 2 engines that Eric Ries defines. One is the value. So it's really making sure that what you're doing is valuable to customers. And the other is growth. So once you know it's valuable to customers, how do you grow it? So today we're focusing in on the first of those 2, which is the value engine, which is all about understanding customers' needs, wants, and that's where Sherry excels. I've never worked with anybody better in my entire career. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Sherry.
He says that because I'm not in the room with him, because normally he would say, "Damn it, would you just shut up?" Yeah, I
can't elbow you, too far to elbow, unfortunately.
When Cindy Alvarez, who is one of the people who wrote the initial books called Lean Customer Development, she says it's the practice of finding customers first. So before you go forward with an idea and throw features after features out into the market, let's talk to these people. Let's talk to customers, understand their problems, see what they do, how do they behave, and what they'll pay to solve. Very important, because as we'll find is that people will say they have problems, but there's a difference between what problems they have and what they'll pay for. Tell yourself the truth about what you're hearing, and not be so overcome by your passion for an idea that you don't see what is right in front of you, which is what the customers, the people who would eventually purchase your product, are saying to you. So the goal, what I'm going to be asking you to look for, is evidence-driven insight. Are they willing to, maybe pay for this problem? How big of a problem is it? And then you validate what you have learned. The solution that we had in mind, or the idea we have in mind, isn't quite there. So how do we reframe it, right? This is where, I was saying, you got to let go a little bit, because the idea that you start with may not be the idea that you end up with.
If they like it, keep doing it. If they don't like it, change something. Ask them questions. Learn. Scrap it if it's not working, start over, or if it is working, build on top of it, and then keep building in small iterations until it really starts to resonate with customers. The weekly build is about creating that first prototype. This is where it stops being theoretical as far as an idea. This is where we want to actually build a product that could work even a little bit. This prototype, this MVP, might be a napkin sketch. And the napkin sketches are just those images that you can create to show someone what your business is about in that visual way. It might be a landing page website with a clickable link. It may be a physical minimum viable product. It might be something that's made on a 3D printer, or it might be a software app that's created with a no-code platform, or even an app modeler of some sort. Barry Litsky, who teaches at the Close School with me, reached out. She's teaching a grad class right now, and they're working on customer development. And one of the students said, I need some data to help with my customer development process. So I said, well, I have a group of students that are learning about customer development, how about we all see an example? I'm going to give you a blink at their product, and then what the QR code is going to give you a link to a survey. It'll take just a couple of minutes to fill out. I'll have everybody fill it out. That'll give her some data, but it also gives you a really good example of like when you have a really early prototype idea. What I'm going to show you is slideware. So she's come up with a concept, she's put it into slides, and then where customer development is, all of you are going to kind of look at it and give your feedback about it. But the idea is you create that first prototype and then iteratively develop that idea based on the customer input. What are some of the data points that help us to understand what makes one different, unique from another? So these are the kind of things when you're testing a product idea, ways that you can collect data like this. In this case, we helped out a student who was just doing an assignment, but I thought a good example for you to be able to see, like here's a way you can use survey data in that build, measure, learn loop. So you build a prototype, simple as it is, and literally what she showed you here, this was this Canva slides, that was the product. Maybe it turns into an app one day, maybe it's an AI, whatever the delivery mechanism is. It's like, here's a basic product, let's collect some data, and then let's report in on it. What did we learn from it? In entrepreneurship, we encourage you start as small as possible. As I always like to say, start smaller. So the idea is we want to take as small and simple an idea as possible and get it into a prototype. But what you're doing then is actually going to iteratively increase and change and adapt that process. So at this stage, we need to do two things. We need to take all this good customer development work that's been done and our understanding of the problem and our understanding of the idea. And now what we have to do is start experimenting with it, iteratively designing it. And we really need to clarify what is our unique value proposition. A value proposition is simply what is the pain reliever that you create for the world, or what is the gain creator that you can create for the world. This is important because you're going to need to be able to present what you do in relation to alternatives and competitive opportunities that are there for them to address this problem. What is the business and how is it competitive in its environment with others? So to support this, I send students to do some competitive market research. I want them to understand what competition looks like and delivering a value proposition and differentiating that value proposition from others. So I like to use one of the great resources we have in the city, which are food trucks.
So the first thing we're looking for is like
price.
Yeah, we're looking at, are you trying to eat this like at this place?
What's the differentiator?
Yeah. Hey, nothing. I was just going to tell you what we're doing. I'm sorry that we're up front, but nothing. We're just exploring for our entrepreneurship class. Whole point is we're taking a look at all of the food trucks down the alley and everything that we can find around the area, comparing prices, comparing food, just to see what is around the area and what people are looking for to eat, especially like us as students.
So for one of the class periods, they have the opportunity to go out, actually look at as many food trucks as they can. I usually say shoot for at least 10 to 20 and talk to the owners. Look at their signage, look at their names, their positioning, their pricing, their products.
What would you say sets you guys apart? Like, what is your most popular dish that people usually like to get?
So the most popular dish, honestly, I would say is the shrimp platter. People really, really like the shrimp platter. We put it with like spicy mayo and a little sriracha and some Thai sweet chili. It's really good. I would say the thing that sets us apart is like how we prepare our protein. We use like a breading that has like a little sweetness to it, and it adds like this new flavor profile that just makes sets us apart from the rest of the class.
Yeah, awesome. I believe it. Sounds great. Thank you so much. I got fleeced.
You said yes.
I got peer pressured into buying a Coke. It's my sister. So we're changing our method. We're changing our method up. So
what did we learn?
So I learned when someone asks you to get something over and over again, you don't have to say yes. I say yes too much.
And what are we doing now?
Reviewing more trucks because.
We're gonna tell the trucks that we're buying from one truck out of the whole line. Whoever gives us the best sales pitch for their business.
Yeah. And they get one meal out of us, out of 4 people. I've heard a lot of good stuff about Kim's Dragon because look at the menu. There is so much. There's over like 32 items.
Maybe $11.
$11 is the maximum. The shrimp and broccoli platter is $11. That's a lot cheaper than the other one down there, I'm not gonna lie. We're just interviewing some of the food trucks on the alley, so we were just wondering if we could talk to you a minute about your food truck. Yeah, we're just looking at the food trucks around here and seeing if all of them are good, so we're just taking a look, and we're gonna be back just to see what food truck is the best when it comes to prices and when it comes to food and value that you can get and what the students want. So we will be back to, just to check this place out again. Thank you very much. Social anxiety ain't real. You just talk to people.
What's that? Oh, no way. We gotta be back by 40.
15. So, how you doing? I was going to say, I'll tell you a little bit about what we're doing, but we're just walking around for my entrepreneurship class. We are learning a lot about like viable products and things like that to sell to customers and specific consumers. And one thing that's very specific around the college area is food trucks and how they sell to their consumers. I've had a lot of my friends come all the way up from Kelly Hall town here to this food truck because they love your food a lot. So I want to know specifically, if you don't mind answering, what sets your food apart from the other halal trucks on like this street?
What they're doing is they're collecting data that's going to inform how they might build out that competitive, differentiated business model for a business. And they're collecting that data in real time so that by the time they return to the classroom, we have the data all summarized and visualized so they can see how many types of food trucks did we see, what were the price ranges that we saw, what are some of the data points that help us to understand what makes one different, unique from another.
Ooh, look, you can also order online. That's something interesting. Not many of the food trucks you can order online. All right, thank you so much. So the one thing that stands out to me about this one.
Yep.
Yeah.
My food guarantee. Make them buy, you don't like it, I give you money back.
Yeah, I believe that.
And how much would I be paying if I got something?
My sandwich is very high. Higher than anybody here.
But the quality makes up for it?
Yep. I'm gonna bring you to my food truck. Okay.
Had just gone through a little tour of the inside. I like to say it was one of the best food trucks I've seen the inside of, and the only food trucks I've really seen the inside of are online, like in videos and things like that, because it's not very often you get to walk into a food truck, especially with the owner of it. This food truck was very well established. One of my favorite things was the employee appreciation, and to handle not only that, but to keep them comfortable with an AC and something to relax with a chair in the back.
The floor was not sticky at all.
It's crazy.
What would you say was like the biggest successor or thing that helped your business really stay where it is? You said
First
good
of all,
growth.
clean. First of all, you have to clean. The food truck has to be nice. Second, the product, quality, and customer service. If you don't have good service, you're done. I treat my customer as a family.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I want to.
So in entrepreneurship, we talk about what we call the build, measure, learn loop. So I'm a YouTuber. That's my YouTube channel if anybody's interested in it. I have a whole series called Learn the Loop. And it's really all about product prototyping and at the same time finding the customer base, finding the market for them at the same time. Because quite frankly, building a product that nobody wants to buy is super frustrating. $4 or $5 million spent and you realize nobody wants to buy the product. True story. Wish I could have that money back. Pretty frustrating when the market didn't want what we were building. I'm an entrepreneur. I teach entrepreneurship. A lot of what I'm doing a lot of times is figuring out how to find something that's really, really a headache for someone and fix it for them and do it in a way that I can do it sustainably because it's so helpful that no one ever thinks twice about buying it or spending money on it. I've been helping to develop products, take them to market, find customers, and ultimately what it really boils down to is, can we make money with this thing? Because this program is designed to help you think this way, which I love. And then what I want to do is just connect it to the money model. which is really like, ultimately, it's like we want to build this awesome product that people really, really want, and we want to make sure that we can make enough money on it that we can keep making it, and it actually changes the world the way we want it to. The business model canvas, or BMC, is really taking a holistic look at the entire business, how we deliver specific value to specific customers, how we create a money model that will allow us to generate revenue, and all the things that we have to do, the activities, the resources, the relationships that we need to have, and how that's going to drive the cost model so that we can figure out how could this business be profitable. Quarter one, when I start, revenue is, say, $1,000. Be able to explain where's that $1,000 going to come from, because there's no magic. So do we have to buy something? When do we have to do that? When's that cost going to come in? Do we have to get a subscription to something? Do we need to hire someone? Modeling all those out. So now we have all these different lines of cost. Now it's really just a matter of summing it up. It's like, how much are we making in revenue each week? What are the costs each week? You know, are we losing money or gaining money each week? And really modeling that out. So often I say to entrepreneurs, there are 1,000 ways or reasons why your business might fail. It should never be because you didn't feel like doing the math. Next we have investment money. So we're gonna add investment money. So if we feel like we have a $2 million valuation and we've now just gotten someone to invest $500,000, now we have a $2.5 million valuation. That's the post-money valuation. So now we're gonna look at, you have the investment money, divide that by the post-money evaluation, and that should give you an idea of what equity you want to give up. And so what we're doing here is just doing that first very basic rudimentary financial projection. It helps to really figure out, is this business idea viable? Like, can we sell a product and make some profit? Week 9, I teach the thing that's always been the hardest thing to teach in entrepreneurship, I think, which is market sizing. So I really set out to think about what's a different way to teach this concept. And so for this, I've said, let's do this from the top of a building. So we go to a tall building in the city. There's a park on the roof, so it's a great outdoor space. It's a beautiful spot. It's out of the classroom. From there, I can say, okay, walk all the way around to the different edges of the building. Find the edges, like see how far you can see. And then start to think about that as a market. You know, what businesses are here? What money is spent here? What value is generated here?
Who wants to go first? Which team wants to give me just a quick, give me like a 30 to 60 second summary?
Our business name was Coreflex. We asked ChatGPT what we could do to get into the athleisure wear market. Our TAM was first the large market of it, which was $450 billion of the global market for athleisure wear. And that was our total addressable market, and we weren't sure how much we were going to fit in there, so we had to move into our SAM. So our SAM was our more focused market, which was our American market, and how much we were going to fit in to be able to make money in that market. We decided that we could get into that with 220 million and 1% of the global industry to finally start our product and make a market out of it.
Anything, Dad?
Not really, no.
And that sets the stage for them to do this week's weekly build, where they're going to do their own model. They can create a TAM, SAM, SOM for their particular business. What's the total available market to me that I want to operate in? What's the serviceable, addressable market that I can start to address problems for the people in this space? And then finally, what's the serviceable, obtainable market that I could actually dominate if I had the right product that addressed the problem in the right way? Networking is a huge part of entrepreneurship. It's why we do the masterminds, and I have pretty much found whether you're just trying to find customers, which is not really necessarily why you network, but it happens. It's where you find referral sources, it's where you find potential business partners, it's where you find potential collaborators of all different kinds. We're going to actually be doing some networking, so I'm going to call it networking IRL in real life. So, what are some reasons why you might go to a networking event? Like if you're, and it doesn't even have to be a startup, but like for whatever you're doing, your job, whatever, what would be a reason you'd go to a networking event?
Just sell yourself or sell your product?
Yeah, sell yourself, sell your product. Yeah, in this setting, when you have a drink in your hand, you learn things about people that you're not going to learn about at like a meeting or sitting in a conference or a classroom or something like that, right? So we did, in what was it, week 3, we did a napkin sketch. You know, I intentionally used like the big cocktail napkins here. If you have a way to, you know, this one here, product concept, napkin 1. The second one is like your financials. You know, if you can draw on a napkin a concept, like an illustration that shows somebody what your business is about, they're not going to forget that anytime soon. And then I also would like to be able to flip it over and say, here, let me show you year one, we're projecting we can sell this many of these for this much. Year two, we think we can triple that for this much. And by year three, we think we can get a distributor and we think we can sell like, 10x. And so you just showed them your money model and your financial projection on a napkin. And guess what? If you got product concept on one side, money model on the other, write your name and like email address on it, or maybe give them a business card, like here. And now they have something, they're not gonna forget you anytime soon. And every time I ever do a napkin sketch, when I'm done, I set it down, I take a picture of it and say, here, you should keep this. I sign it, like I might be famous one day, or just something funny like that. It's just something memorable, and if they do actually put it in your pocket, as opposed to like leave it, like quietly like leaving it there as they're walking away, then it's like, okay, maybe they're a little bit interested in this. I don't just teach this stuff. Yeah, about a year ago, a friend of mine said, hey, I've got a problem. I'm trying to fix it for my restaurant group. And I think the thing that we built would be helpful for other restaurants. Let's build a tech company. And I said, you're crazy. You don't really want to do that. That's like a lot of work. It's an enormous amount of money and it's really, really hard. He said, great, let's do it. So I showed somebody that had a restaurant and I just sent him the Canva template. And he's like, where do I sign up? Like, okay, that's a positive sign, right? So in May, we launched our first working prototype of the product, and we hit the streets, started selling it. We sold it to a couple of dozen customers. In the meantime, a VC got really interested in it, another capital firm got interested in it. They started competing against each other. We got a $2 million valuation, signed paperwork last week.
But this is huge. See how the forecast changed based on a formulation? So it's not just a flat $100,000 divided by 30 days. $100,000 separated by, hey, Friday historically you've done 35% of your sales. Okay, nice. So that's what they're going against a real target.
It's not seasonally adjusted, it's daily adjusted.
Exactly.
Based on historical.
If you can't do the first things right, which is drive sales targets, get with your team and understand the goals for the fiscal goals for the month, or even break it down to the day or the week. If you don't have growth year over year, you're dying. But let's manage the things that you can control, right? Above the line P&L stuff, control the controllables. We're not arguing that the point of sale has all the KPIs and data in it, right? What we're trying to do is get all those reports out so you can know exactly what's happening on your day-to-day, so you can make better decisions or hold maybe your chef or your counterpart or manager accountable for purchases.
We need labor targets if they have a percentage and they don't have COGS because they've never tracked it.
The entrepreneurial process from the outside can look very much like people are really flying by the seat of their pants. As a result, it can seem like it's not very scientific, and nothing could be further from the truth. The entrepreneurial process is very scientific. Data is what really can drive a strong innovation and iteration process where you test it, you see what the data tells you, and then you respond to the data. If the data is like, wow, this is really working out, like we just put this thing into the market, now we're selling them like hotcakes. That is a really good indicator that you want to keep going forward. And so when you do market sizing, when you do financial projections, when you do traction, sales data, these are the kinds of things where the data that you bring, really shows what you know what you're talking about, and it's true, not it's your hunch, it's your gut feel, it's your pet project.
Is supposed to be a fashion design app that takes different clothing, different outfits that you have worn and or wear, take your personality and find a style based upon that.
Face is I'd love to be able to have sell local clothes locally, internationally. Not only that, but put together clothes that will make a style no matter what.
So this is Focus Flow. It's a productivity and wellness app designed for people who struggle with procrastination and burnout. As you see here, we got the onboarding welcome page. Basically just press get started and you get started. It basically takes your one big scary goal and it'll break it down in a manageable to-do list. And you can also add steps manually or have the app add steps.
So that was the pop-up retail assignment. Everybody got a chance to create their own business or take a business they're already doing and put that into a pop-up retail situation. I think it was really successful. We had not only the students from the class coming through, but a lot of their friends came in. We had different people from the faculty and the staff and just other people that were walking through, checking out, making some purchases. Saxby's was here with some free coffee. So just really cool opportunity to see some of the principles we've been covering throughout the course really playing out in a real business. recently had a chance to see the group of students graduate that I started working with. So I spent over 20 years in industry. I have not been teaching that long, but I have had the pleasure to work with some of the most engaged, interesting, and creative students. And the first group was right in the middle of the pandemic. I literally left industry, started teaching during the pandemic, when most people in education were like, this is the worst time in the world to be teaching. But this group was so resilient. This group, they kind of lost their senior year of high school. They didn't get to go to the prom. They didn't get to go to graduation. It's so cool to see them now on the stage and, you know, getting their diploma, getting ready to go out into the world. So many of them have already started businesses that they're planning to keep moving forward with. I had several say to me, I'm taking that business that I started working on in your class, and that's what I'm gonna do full time. I'm starting to find some customers, make some money. I can make this work. And seeing that confidence they have, they know they can do this.
Good morning, everyone. Faculty, friends, family, and of course, my fellow graduates.
They know it's in them. You know, where, 5 years ago, they were thinking like, what is going on? The whole world is falling apart. And, we're trying to figure out this college thing. And so really, really cool to see that. The advice I have for students who study entrepreneurship and they're graduating is just start something. If you've already started it, keep going. And if you haven't started yet, get it off the ground. Believe that you can, because most of the time entrepreneurial ventures are not started because the founder just doesn't believe it's going to work, or they don't believe they have what it takes. And what it takes is just deciding, I'm going to make this work. On the Zoom and no one in the room. So it's our last class, and I guess we're going to be recording. David and I had some back and forth. I asked David to kind of help me come up with what are 10 takeaways that we hope everyone walks away from this course in. For me, what I'd really like students to take away from this course is the confidence that if I have an idea, I can start something. And I know exactly what to do to be able to go from an idea to something I can really prove is valuable. Instead of a final exam, they're putting this portfolio together. And it's really telling a story of the 10 weeks and what they produced each week and why it helped to advance their business. And so in 30 to 60 seconds for each week, they're talking about what their weekly build was, but they're tying it together in a whole narrative that says what their business is about. In this case, I'm hoping that they're walking away, number one, with just an understanding of the entire entrepreneurial process. And I hope they're walking away with a confidence to know that if they want to do it, they have everything within themselves and the skills and the mindset and everything they need to be successful. And so that's really what I hope they walk away with. And a perfect world, if they came in with an idea that they already were kicking around or already starting to work on, they've really moved the ball forward, where whatever state that idea was in to begin with, they've now transformed it into something that the world has already validated and that they can take out and start to really build on for the future as the founder of that company.